Danny Parkins, for years, dominated Chicago radio. Now he's at FS1, Breakfast Bowl, and he's joining us. He knows his Chicago sports. So Seth Wickersham, very respected guy, comes out, and, he's writing a book on the history of quarterbacks, and all of a sudden, here's Caleb Williams' dad. I really defended Caleb, and I said, years ago, if your first team stunk, you were really behind the 8 ball. Now, Goff, Tua, Baker, Darnold, Geno, there's so many good offensive coaches that you do get second and third opportunities. Baker Mayfield now crushing it. So I think Caleb's going to be fine. But what was your takeaway on some of the comments by Caleb and his dad about the Bears before they became Bears?
Well, first of all, you were all over this. You were reporting this well before the draft that Caleb and his camp had some concerns about the Bears. And when Carl Williams said this is where Chicago's where quarterbacks go to die, I think there were about 1 million Bears fans in the Chicago metro area who were like, "Yep, we know. Yeah, that's about as relatable." Thank you. Like that scene in Wolf of Wall Street. One of us. Like it would have been like if a Chicago Cub was like, I believe in curses before 2016. Like we're well aware that that's where quarterbacks go to die. I thought Caleb was maybe like 10% too honest with Seth Wickersham. I respect the fact that he owned up to it. I don't think he needed to say that he had his hand on the nuclear button for the nuclear option. He's like, yeah, I was considering nuking the city. I'm like, probably not necessary. You could have just been saying, I was, evaluating all of my options and I'm thrilled to be a Bear. But the thing about it was that all of the concerns, Colin, ended up being justified. They fired Shane Waldron 9 games into the year, and Caleb Williams said he was watching film alone and had never been taught how to watch film. So it explains why it was such a disaster last season.
Now, again, Tua, defensive coach to McDaniels, made a Pro Bowl. Greg Williams, Hugh Jackson, Freddie Kitchens to McVay and Liam Cohen transformed Baker's life. Goff, Fisher to McVay. One of the things that's been noteworthy, Kevin O'Connell did this. Sean Payton did it in Denver immediately. And this is one of the things McVay did it in L.A. with Andrew Whitworth. It's a very encouraging sign. The really good offensive coaches can solve offensive lines, Andy Reid and McVay, in an offseason. They don't even need a season. They need an offseason. So my take on Ben Johnson is he gets it. Their money and focus on the O-line, I don't think people understand how good Dolman and Tooney are. Like in NFL circles, those are like very respected players. So I think Chicago's a wild card team, or is that overly optimistic?
No, it's not overly optimistic at all. It's a tough schedule. The win total in Vegas is 8.5, but they upgraded left guard, center, right guard, nose tackle, defensive end, tight end 1 or 2, depending on how you value Cole Kmet, wide receiver 3, head coach, and play caller, all in one offseason. That's pretty substantial. That's pretty good. There's always going to be more pressure on the Hall of Famers who have been paid, who haven't won a Super Bowl, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. But Caleb Williams is going to be very high up on those lists of who's under the most pressure to perform this year, because you can look at the Bears roster and say, okay, kid, time's yours. Like, what do the Bears not have at this point? They've done everything right after sabotaging his rookie year.
There's a lot of things to take away from the NFL schedule. I thought the Chargers, between Brazil, all these short weeks against Detroit, Buffalo, why the Chargers get this cookie dough soft middle of the schedule. I had predicted I think they're going to pull back. They're on the margins anyway right now. They enter the season with kind of a sketchy O-line, which is the only thing that's ever undone. That's been the only kryptonite for Mahomes, has been like left tackle or O-line issues. So I do think they'll pull back and be like a 10-11 win team, not a dominant operation. Is there something about the schedule that jumped out to Danny Parkins?
Well, last year we talked about the Pittsburgh Steelers, how they needed to get off to a strong start because the end of the season schedule was so brutal. That's the Dallas Cowboys this year. And I know, okay, America's team, they're going to be on national TV. No one's crying for the Cowboys. But it's literally historic. Week 12 through week 17, they play every team on their schedule won 11 or more games last year. They play on Thanksgiving, they play on Christmas, and there's 2 4-day breaks. Like, they have 4 days off between the Eagles and Chiefs. I don't have the greatest memory in the world, but those two teams were in the Super Bowl last year. Like, that's fairly difficult. Then 4 days off between Chargers and Commanders, with that Commanders game being on the road, is remarkably difficult. So we knew the opponents ahead of time, but I thought the sequencing for Dallas was absolutely brutal to finish the season.
So, the Knicks game tonight can be one of two things: historically great or a nightmare. I like them tonight. Kind of your forecast. You're in the city. Your forecast for what we see tonight in an interesting series.
I think the first quarter is going to tell us a lot. This is objectively the biggest game at Madison Square Garden since the conference finals in 2000. New York is a basketball town. Just ask a New Yorker. The Knicks are the one thing that really truly unites the city because, Mets and Yankees, all the different hockey teams, Jets and Giants, that's fairly well understood. Whether you've spent a day here, an hour here, or years and years, your entire life here, it's a Knicks town. But, Colin, you know this. 3-1 can get spun two different ways. It's happened 13 times in NBA history. A team came back from down 3-1, or a team collapsed from being up 3-1. When LeBron came back from down 3-1 against the Warriors, it's the single most impressive thing I've ever seen in basketball. He does it against the super team. He leads both teams in all 5 statistical categories. That was framed as a comeback. With Tatum rupturing his Achilles, if the Knicks lose, this will be a choke. Now, maybe if Boston ends up winning the title, history will be a little bit kinder to it. But in the immediate aftermath, this will go up there as one of the great chokes in NBA playoff history and one of the great chokes in New York sports history. You remember, of course, 04 Yankees-Red Sox. That's down 3-0. They come back, the bloody sock game, Dave Roberts with the steal, Big Papi, the MVP, Johnny Damon, the grand slam. 3-1's not as bad as 3-0, but when the star player on the Celtics ruptures his Achilles, I'll just say the Knicks better come out hot in the first quarter tonight, or that's going to be a very, very tense building over at the world's most famous arena.
I know it happened almost a week ago. I didn't get your take on this. Nick and I were aligned on this. I'm not. Listen, if the NBA was going to rig things, they wouldn't have Zion going to the Pelicans and Wemby going to the Spurs. What do you make of all the Cooper Flagg, Dallas Maverick rig talk? I think it's ridiculous, but I am in the minority, apparently.
You're not in the minority. This is an internet creation. Everything is a conspiracy on the internet. Like, it's not enough to be like, journalists were in the room. And then the NBA is like, okay, here's the video of the ping pong balls coming out. And people are like, yeah, you edited it. Like, I honestly don't know what people need to see to believe. Like, can you reverse engineer it? Yeah, of course. But let's say the Spurs would have won the lottery. You don't think people would have said, oh, it's rigged? They want to take care of Greg Popovich as he transitions to his role as president of basketball operations, and they need Victor Wembanyama to be good. So, Philadelphia, big market. Chicago, big market. You can always attach a conspiracy to the back end of an outlier event, and 1.8% is an outlier event. But it's not impossible. It's 1.8%. So, of course, it's not rigged. It's objectively ridiculous. It is a little upsetting. Like, I will say that Nico Harrison didn't deserve it, right? Like, Mavs fans deserve it. But the thing that more so than it was rigged talk, I thought the most, objectionable thing was, Nico Harrison gets the last laugh. Why? Because ping balls bounced his way? To me, that was actually a worse take than it was rigged.
Great stuff. Danny Parkins from Chicago, now in New York, FS1. Great seeing you, buddy. Have a good weekend.
Let's talk anytime, Colin. Thank you.